Hello, this is a scene read for The Pack's Secret Keeper, Book 1 of the Havermouth Pack series by the Havermouth Pack series by Everleigh Miles. I hope you enjoy. Talon continued to kiss along Aislenn's neck as he backed her towards the bedroom, skillfully managing to combine his caresses with removing her clothing. He leaned back as he lifted her top, and she had a moment of awkward shyness as he took in the tattoos and the piercings. He scooped her up and laid her on the bed under the fall of moonlight through the window. Before he began to undress, his eyes locked on her. Aislen squirmed in the silence, fighting to find something witty and sexy to say, but she was still too raw and exhausted from the triquetra. "I think," he said eventually, "that we will take it slow and gentle tonight, little demon." He knew, she thought, swallowing hard. He knew that something had happened and that she was fragile. He leaned over her, and she lifted her mouth to his, the kiss gentle and tender, and hot, scorching hot. His fingers stroked through her hair before framing her jaw, his thumb resting under her chin, the hold letting her feel his strength and possession without exerting any of it on her. Her body ached and surrendered. It was as if he were the telepath and knew precisely what she needed, to feel safe and cherished by someone with the strength to protect her. He kept his hand there as he kissed down the other side of her neck and over her collarbone, stroking his tongue over the tattoo of the knotted triangle, before taking each into his mouth. The feel of his tongue over points made more sensitive by the metal through them had her arching and moaning. He kissed and licked over the tattoo framing her stomach, and the one over her beard before discovering the piercing with his tongue. She sobbed as he slid his fingers into her. His tongue toyed with the piercing. Of course, she thought, vampires held a healing agent in their saliva, something necessary to prevent their prey from bleeding out on every feed. It didn't heal completely, but it did speed things up. As fabulous as his mouth felt on her, the reason behind his kisses was even better. Without judgment or comment, without forcing her to speak of what had occurred, he had done what existed within his power to ease her suffering, knowing that he could not even claim a thank you for it due to the secrecy of his supernatural nature. She caressed his hair, her heart aching. This wasn't something casual, she admitted to herself. Maybe it had started that way, but it had very quickly evolved from there. For both of them. He had gone to Cabramatta looking for her, and he had been who she had asked for at the hospital when she needed help. She came, his name on her lips. He lifted over her, gorgeous in the moonlight silvering his hair, the powerful muscles of his body standing out against his skin, and his eyes glowing with the red backlight as he looked down on her. Outside, a wolf howled and was answered. They both turned their heads toward the window, before looking back at each other. His cock nudged against her as he leaned forward and kissed her. "All right, little demon," he murmured against her lips. "Oh, Talon, I'm so ready for your cock." She lifted her hips, feeling him breach her with the movement, and groaning, "Please, I like it when you ask me nicely." He purred and gave her a little more of his, teasing it in and out of her in a slow penetration and withdrawal. "Keep asking me, little demon, in such a pretty way. Please." She ran her fingers through his hair, smoothing it back from his face, the strands tangling in his beard as they pulled back. She brushed her lips over his. "Please, I want to feel you stretch me as you push deep. I want to feel your kiss my cervix." He smiled, lowering his hips to hers in a slow, sensuous slide of his cock into her cock that left her gasping, her eyelids fluttering, and her head rolling to the side. He rolled his hips into her, the tip of his pressing against her cervix, grinding her clit and its piercing in the most delicious way, before withdrawing in the same slow, smooth fashion. He flowed back into a thrust, the muscles of his stomach ridging against his skin, his cheeks clenching beneath her heels. He caught her mouth with his, stealing her breath and moans as she continued the same controlled seduction of her body. The slow penetration, grind, and withdraw sent her nerve endings haywire, sensitizing her to the extent that she thought she could feel every vein, every wonderful inch of his corner. So complete was her focus on him that her muscles seemed to lock with tension, holding her in a arch rictus, breathless, caught on the edge of. He held her, the heat of it building within her into an almost intolerable burn. "Yes, little demon," he breathed against her cheek. "When you fall, it's going to be magnificent, and I'll be there to catch you." He ground into her. "Breathe." She dragged in a breath and released it, and the tension snapped within her. She gripped Talon tightly, her mouth open on a wall of pleasure that held no sound, as the sparks ripped through her, felt from top to toe, hair standing on end. He used his teeth on her throat, taking just the smallest drink, and came with her blood on his tongue and his mind, briefly, so briefly, open to hers. He lay heavily over her, and his hand found hers, threading their fingers and bridging their clasped hands to rest next to her shoulder. "I've got you, little demon," he murmured. "Whatever has happened to you, I will help you whenever you are ready to tell me." She began to cry again, tears rolling over her cheeks and down into her hair. That was the scene with Talon. I hope y'all enjoyed.